it is okay for people to be in shock if you start setting boundaries. That piece is okay. Like, some of this work is being willing to let people have their emotional reactions and not being controlled unduly by how somebody else might react. Their reaction is not the main reason why we do something or we don't do something. The main reason why you do or don't do something is because you're living in alignment with your own values. And then you develop the capacity to stay clear and open-hearted with how everybody else is going to interpret that and feel about that and react to that and try to get you to go back to the thing that served them better. There's going to be pushback and pressure. So you start anticipating the pushback and the pressure, and you get really, again, grounded in your own reality. And this is about self-trust. Do I trust my boundaries? Do I trust my ability to state my boundaries? Do I trust my ability to ask for what I'm needing, to be okay with a no? Do I trust my ability to remain empathic and open-hearted when somebody is angry at me for having a boundary? Can I, where do I go into self-doubt? Is that self-doubt healthy self-doubt where I'm sort of examining and learning and growing and taking in feedback from the world and attuning? Or is it more of a disabling kind of self-doubt where I lose connection to myself and I don't trust myself and I get confused? And then we can help each other with that. So then I go, oh, shoot, I don't really trust my ability to handle this. And so then my next question is, what would help me feel more confident, feel clearer, and develop that self-trust? What am I afraid is going to happen? Go through it in your mind and welcome in, imagine it. I'm going to set a boundary, and both kids are going to get very angry and they're going to leave and they're not going to submit and they're not going to work with it. And they're not, and we'll talk in a moment. It doesn't have to be a submission, but I'll come back to that in a moment. And then I'm going to be alone. And then I'm going to feel shame. Okay, so let's sit and feel it now. Like, I will often walk my way through what I'm imagining that experience is going to be. And I will feel my way through it and discover that I have survived on the other end of it. That's one thing you can do. Go through it in your mind, fantasize the whole thing out, go through the nightmare and find out on the other end, and then what? I might feel all of that, terror and dread, and it's so terrible, but I might also feel on the other end of that, a bit of relief, a little bit of self-respect, a little bit of clarity. I don't get to control what other people do with where I stand on things. So that's one piece. But now I want to back up a little bit because I have a few recommendations on how we can avoid that worst case scenario. If you're going to make a change in a family system and the way things have been, I would acknowledge the change explicitly. And I would reveal why this thing that I've been doing isn't meeting needs for well-being, and why I'm going to start doing this other thing that I haven't been doing because of the needs I'm trying to meet. And to the degree that you keep your focus on the needs and the values that you are trying to live into, it will go a little bit more smoothly than how children are sort of, and these are teenagers, right? These are older teenagers, how they're likely to perceive it. They will take it personally. They will perceive it as a criticism of them. They will receive it as a punishment. And so you want to do whatever you can on the front end for it to ameliorate that sort of normal default bias towards interpreting it as a punishment. And you want to really help them understand what isn't working for you about how you're doing it and what you are going to be doing differently and what needs you're trying to meet. And then ask them how they feel about that. And then ask them what comes up for them around that, and be willing to be in a conversation where whatever strategy you're proposing is going to be different. Hold it a little lightly in the early stages and take in their feedback and take in their needs and pick up the things that they are caring about, so that whatever decision you get to at the end feels like it's been co-created and included everybody's perspective. And ultimately, sometimes you do make an executive decision, and then everybody is not going to get their preferences. And, but if you can own it as something that you're doing for your well-being and their well-being, and they have the experience of you really caring about and being invested in how it impacts them and what would work for them and what wouldn't, and do they have ideas, that's just, there are no guarantees. It's not a magic bullet, but it will absolutely grease the wheels of that conversation and the implementation so that they don't feel like something has just been done to them as a punishment.